Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. Make sure you are subscribed to all three channels, Evolutionary, EEARTS, and also Heart Ohm. And we want to thank our Patreons again. We couldn't do it without your guys' support over on Patreon. So thank you so much in these times. We actually had another video pulled. I put another video from Invisible and started to reintegrate ends that we felt were videos that we felt were safe. And so there was one talking about the Georgia stones that got blew up. And it was just talking about the stones. It was actually from 2019. So it was pre-Plague Upon the Land. And they removed it. And, I repealed the decision, and they came back and they upheld it as medical misinfo. All we didn't even talk about there was no plague upon the land. It was just simply saying, what is the stones, what are they saying? What are they calling for? And so they removed it from YT.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, so far we have been able to post things on Patreon safely, and want to say a big thank you to Miles, our most recent Patreon. But yeah, it had nothing to do with anything. It was like just a huge slap in the face, and them saying, we're going to do whatever we want.
Oh, yeah. Well, they are covering tracks really fast. So we see the sun blast out highest energy radiation ever recorded, raising questions for solar physics. We thought we had this star figured out, but that's not the case. Again, there's so much going on. It's hard to look at things and analyze them and see through all the disinformation and indoctrination. It's more a case of developing that feeling into things that we really have to work on, and always, again, keeping our minds open, because we are indoctrinated from birth. That is just a simple fact. So what they're talking about is gamma radiation. They say at the end of this article, don't worry about it. It's not going to hurt you, but it's exceeding what we expected. And again, we just came out of what many have been calling a grand solar minimum, going into a peak cycle for solar activity. And the numbers, they're just not meshing, and we're seeing more activity out of the sun than expected. We're seeing CMEs and stuff heading off in the opposite direction. And scientists will tell you that, don't worry, it's not going to affect you at all. Yeah, it does affect you. Everything affects you. We're all intertwined here. We're in one ocean of consciousness. But the thing is that they have distorted the facts so much in the science. And it's starting to show. It's starting to become pretty dang obvious for those of us that have not been zombified yet.
Mm-hmm. And it, to the point where I find it difficult to be around people who are still completely in the system and believe mainstream media and do all the mainstream things. It kind of makes me cringe, even though I really enjoy people. I really enjoy talking to them. When I hear people, doing these things that we've been taught since birth, it hurts me, because I know that they're being hurt, and there's nothing I can do about it, because everyone has to step out of that at their own pace. And that's kind of where we're at. We have to just work with each other. And sometimes it might be difficult being around someone, but we all have loved ones that are still in the system. And if you want a relationship with them, well, you have to kind of go around certain belief systems to have that relationship. And that's okay. I just wish other people weren't getting hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. So they say in a record-breaking discovery, scientists detected our very own sun emitting an extraordinary amount of gamma rays, wavelengths of light known to carry the most energy of any other wavelength in the electromagnetic spectrum. This is quite a big deal as it marks the highest energy radiation ever to be documented coming from our planet's host star, something like 1 trillion electron volts to be exact. Looking at 6 years worth of data, out popped this excess of gamma rays. Well, again, this is a different time. We're shifting yugas. And as much as they try to dim the sun, because they are, and you have plans going ahead from Gil Bates and others to dim the sun because they don't want this happening. But this is part of the programming of this matrix, the good matrix that we're talking about, the original matrix that's been hijacked by the dark cabal, so to speak. And they could struggle as much as they want to stop it. They can't stop it. It's well beyond them. Again, the controlling entities are really lower fourth density vibrational beings. So as far as where they sit in the totem pole, so to speak, they're at the bottom. And they're stuck at the bottom. Yes, they do have technology that will blow our minds. But at the same time, these beings, in so many ways, are truly, absolutely lost souls. Lost souls is a really, really good word for them.
Mm-hmm. Right. And they're in a place where they've decided to trade their soul. And it makes it very difficult, if not impossible, to come back when you dive that far into technology.
So we get this admission. NASA discovers that Mars is spinning faster. Its days getting shorter. One theory why, and it's some of these theories that they come up with, you have to just say, really? You guys got PhDs, and again, so much of this, when we talk about PhDs and doctorates, it's in absorbing the information that the system wants you to get. What do? You memorize, you regurgitate backwards, and spew out what they want you to say. So again, it's indoctrination. Yes, you can learn a lot from science. You can understand many things, including how some bodily systems work and how certain things work. But again, they won't let you know all the mysteries, because they can't let you know all the mysteries because it will blow the paradigm that we're living in. But we do see rapid change. This is part of the bigger picture. Yeah, we're leaving a dark age. And then we got the Peruvian extraterrestrial alien, or perhaps these beings really have been here for quite a while. But something is terrorizing certain indigenous tribes over in Peru. We've talked about it. Boy, the internet is really, really abuzz with this right now. And so Pelacaras, which literally means face peelers, the Peruvian population that lives in the Amazon call these beings Pelacaras, which again means face peelers. They say these beings put out some kind of anesthetic on people and remove the face skin almost perfectly using laser instruments. Well, there was a body they pulled from the river, and, I didn't include it just because I don't want to shock people, but it looks like that exactly. And it looks like the skull is bleached. There's no blood. The skin looks like somebody that's recently dead, a little bit of rigor mortis setting in. It's you could find it, I'm sure if you do a Google search. Some have said, it was gang related, and they stuck his head in the river full with piranhas, and the piranhas ate the head. Well, it was clean, but yet the scalp was there. It was just the face that was removed, and the neck. Interesting to say the least. Scary, yeah, scary. When I saw that and thought how clean it was, it got me thinking automatically of the cattle mutilations, because they will find organs gone, they will find glands gone often, and surgical cuts, sometimes absolutely perfect circles, and no blood. No blood. It's, again, showing technology. As you see, not one drop of blood. And this was from 2019, but this happens all the time. There are recent cases in Texas of mutilations right now. And we've seen these ourselves. And we were in New Mexico, and we had two bunnies that Sassy used to just enjoy going and chasing. We'd go take a walk around the 15 acres that we were plopped on, and there you go. She'd go chasing these two bunnies, and I know she would never hurt them anyway, and she could never catch them, and Zeke wouldn't really even try that much. This was back when Zeke was with us. And then the one part of the backyard was fenced in with about 4 or 5 foot high fencing. I forget exactly, and you couldn't get in there. But the bunnies were in there, and they had been basically all their organs were removed. There was no organs. There was no blood, and it was like these cattle mutilations. There was just kind of like circular hole that all the internal organs were gone. And it really felt like it was a personal attack because it brought so much joy to us and the dogs to interact with the bunnies every day. And both of them were dead right in the fenced-in backyard that nothing could easily get to.
Mm-hmm. It was really quite disturbing to know that these things are real and it's happening to you. But, I think back and I feel so terrible for that guy in the river and how they show his face. And I think, the piranha explanation, that could be plausible. But when you look at this, the skull is so pure white. This is a bleaching. And people, when you're out in the desert, a lot of people like to paint skulls of like cattle, it's just a hobby some people do. And they set the skull out in the sun to bleach it, and then they do extra bleaching to give it a, that really white look. And this had been heated up. It had been bleached, the skull. So it was more than, to me, I think it was more than just this piranhas. I mean, it's just horrible. It's really awful.
Yeah, and we encountered a lot of things out in the New Mexican desert. A lot. And including a lot of things that could be looked at as almost ritual or ceremonial. A lot of animal deaths that were very, very disturbing. But what we've shared with you guys is, why do they do this? Because what do they do? Why are they taking these organs? Why are they taking this? What really they're doing? They're taking DNA from the cows, and they create these guys with them. That might sound crazy, but yeah, some of these guys are created with human DNA. Other of these guys are created with cow DNA. And again, they're basically a merger of machinery and technology with biomass. And this shows you the system, because this is what we are really at war with. This is AI. This is the artificial component of everything that is creating all new species, combining technology with that which is organic.
And this is the other disturbing part of this, is these beings they do as they're told. They do as they're being told energetically. It is that hive mind. So they really have no problems doing what they do. There's like no emotion, and they really are very fascinated with humans because of our emotion. It's to them, they don't have it. They don't understand it, but they know it has power. It has a lot of power. And they utilize that. And the way that they're made, it's really gross, because look at what they're doing. They're making steaks and whatnot. They're making meat for people to eat on a plate. And this is kind of how these guys are made, and we're doing it now.
Yeah, exactly. When you see all the fake meat, lab-grown meat, these guys are lab-grown meat. That's just a fact, and that's where they come from. So again, be very, very cautious and careful. And here we see about the recent incidents involving UAP attacks in Peru. I have obtained a statement from Colonel Julio Chamorro, founder and former commando of the OIFAA, Anomalous Aerial Phenomena Investigation Office from the Peruvian Air Force. He says there are indeed a lot of open information about it. A conclusion about these events is that they have been happening for a long time. Perhaps it is related to many legends, which would indicate this interaction having to consider what the actors change or elements, technology, and circumstances. But in reality, we're talking about the same thing that happened a long time ago. and it's repeated from time to time. It is very interesting from an anthropological point of view. Again, this is Colonel Julio Chamorro. Yeah, these legends talk about this. And we have so many legends that come together when we start to understand the bigger picture. Again, one of the problems is viewing everything from a Judeo-Christian point of view per se, which is given to us ultimately by the controllers. Again, this is a distortion of how things really are. Indigenous people understood clearly that, again, there are many beings that don't come from here necessarily, but do come here. And sometimes, they simply come here to grab certain things and then go. It's like stopping at a gas station. Oh, well, we need some DNA, literally. And here we are. We think we are top of the food chain. But no, we've never been top of the food chain here. No, in fact, some of these beings look at us as that exactly. 3 teenagers seriously burned by a light coming from a UFO. And so this is a timeline of events that was back on June 19th. July 15th, Professor Silas Soto seriously injured in the head by a light fired by unknown beings. Again, July 27th, a woman claims to have seen 3 tall, dark beings floating around that disappeared after she started screaming. This is all in the general area there. A 15-year-old girl on July 29th was dragged 50 meters by beings after receiving some kind of anesthetic fluid on her face. And had her neck cut until she was saved by residents. Right after the incident with the girl, the federal police and Peruvian Navy were in the community for a few hours collecting testimonies. July 29th, the Brazilian Navy announced a joint training operation in Iquitos with the navies of Peru and Colombia. This is a joint operation, 3 different nations. End of July, a girl fainted after seeing strange beings in the community of San Antonio de Pitujaco. Again, this is in that same area. And at the end of July, students from Peruvian National University at Amazon reported seeing strange beings. August 7th, strange beings attacked a boy who was left in a coma with a delicate state of health again. There's a lot going on here. And these legends go deep back in time. Some are saying that this looks manted. And, it could well be. This didn't seem like it was moving much to me, but then again, I have seen a very tall gray, I would say 8 to 9 feet tall, in my bedroom in Sarasota, Florida, and it did sabotage me. Its entire purpose was to cause a leak in my energy body, and I felt something go into me energetically, and I woke up, and it was surprised I was able to wake up. And I saw it clear as day. I mean, it was as solid can be. It broke eye contact with me immediately. It looked away. It went into a meditative state, and it slowly disappeared from sight, but slowly. Meanwhile, it did cause an energy leak, which then lowered my ability to fight things immune-wise, and that was its entire purpose. And this also happened literally about 6 weeks after I was reached out to by that group that starts with an I and ends with an I. There's some L's and a U and an M-I-N in there. And I turned them down. They wanted me to join them. They were going to send me to the greater Atlanta area to mentor under somebody. Yeah. So then when that didn't work, they send a tall gray. What we have to realize is these beings, not all of them, some of these beings are rogue, but really when we talk about the power structure, extraterrestrials and human military work hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. They do work together closely. We have to remember they're also very much like, people in our society. You have good ones, you have bad ones, you have those that want to change, you have those that want something different, and they do different. So you can't just scoop them all up and put them in one box and say, okay, all grays are bad, because they're not. It's really curious out there. You do discover those who want to make positive change, can make positive change, and do make positive change. So I think we just have to be very mindful of how we look at things and not just categorize everything all in one place.
Yeah, absolutely. And meanwhile, we see here, this is from March 2001, UFOs terrorize residents during flap near the mouth of the Amazon River. Again, military intelligence agents who investigated a long series of UFO sightings managed to film numerous craft diving into and coming out of a bay at the mouth of the Amazon River. And, again, and going back to 1977, UFOs harassing and attacking villagers, farmers, and fishermen. Why would they attack these people? Well, again, a lot of the indigenous people around the globe are obviously the ones that have gotten attacked the most. Their DNA, their bloodlines are very pure compared to most of us out there that have been intermingling. So there's some component to them that would seem to be desirable. As you can see over here, another case very similar to what's going on from 1977. First came a green light that would hit a person and paralyze them, and then the green light would turn off and a red ray of light would hit them, burning them. Yes, technology. And unfortunately, you might wonder, where does our military money go in the U.S.? Because it's 10 times what Russia spends. A lot of it goes towards operations along these lines, working with ETs and the dark ETs, as again, it's used to police us. That's a big realization. Operation Saucer, the official search for UFOs that attacked Brazilians with light beams in 1977. Yeah. And this is also why the indigenous people are herded into smaller and smaller areas, while there's fewer and fewer of them. They also tend to have the ability to perceive things clearer than people certainly that are in our Western society, eating all the junk foods, drinking all the fluoridated water, no activity in the pineal glands, where these guys, they have active pineal glands if they're out in nature, and they are eating cleaner and they're not corrupted by our society.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's definitely something to that, which it's just also very disturbing. And I think a lot of people still have that cognitive dissonance toward it. It's like they don't want to accept it as something that's true, and I think it's finally made the media buzz so much so that it's actually picking up traction. But this is, unfortunately, it's not something that's new. It's just something that as the light of information comes toward us and we learn more and more and more, they can't hide it forever.
So again, numerous cases, numerous accounts of people with reoccurring injuries, people saying the beams gave off intense beams of radiation that caused puncture marks and lesions. Some reporting to the local media at the time they felt like a heavy weight pushed against their chest. The beam was about 7 or 8 centimeters in diameter, white in color. And, it's just, there's multiple cases of this. Radiation injuries. Many people close to the flying triangles have radiation sickness that happens. And Cindy and I experienced this as well. And this was in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, close to the base there, where, again, we shared with you guys. All of a sudden, we see at like 7:30 at night, it was getting dark. It's summer, 7:30, 8 o'clock, and all of a sudden there's a flying triangle next to us, and it's following us. And because it was blasting us with radiation, the only reason that we've been able to survive has been a combination of understanding, detoxing, how to get rid of these things, and also our energy work. So, I really know that they didn't expect us to still be here at this time. And many are gone that have reached many more people than we have. And here we see throughout the experiences, this is by Dr. Carla Turner, PhD, from the book Into the Fringe, a true story of alien abduction. Throughout the experiences of many abductees, predictions have been made, many of which point to a coming time of great upheaval and destruction. But I keep telling myself we'd be foolish to believe the words of beings who take us without our permission and do things to us without explanation. And this is her, and she goes through a litany of different facts. And, you know, absolutely, the aliens are liars. They are, well, again, so we can't jumble them all together. This is one of the things to realize, too. The ones she's talking about is the control system. These are the ones that are part of the draconian Anunnakian system, the AI system. You know, the higher frequency beings never abduct us against our will. They work with us. They will give us information. They teach us truly how the world and the universe work. This is the control system. Yeah, they are always giving us these dire predictions, and they have worked through people like Nostradamus and others as well in order to get us to see the negative realities, because they want to keep us trapped in a loop that they could continually feed off of. And so, you know, I'll give you guys the link. Psychological programming of the abductee. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the big thing is they're trying to understand the human soul. Now, that sounds kind of strange, doesn't it? Or maybe it doesn't. Well, the reality is, at the top of the pyramid is AI, which doesn't have a human soul. It doesn't have source in it. It's without source. And so when we look again, even to some of the legends and talking about soulless fallen angels and all that, you could see where there is a core truth. Now, some of these beings, you would almost not accurately classify them as extraterrestrials because they've literally been here longer than we have, longer than Homo sapiens has been here. And there are some beings that live inside the earth. There are some that are under the oceans. There are some that are up there on motherships. And again, that have been here for eons.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's really curious. Humans also, not just the emotion of love, but the emotion of fear is very, very valued in some of these things. And I don't know if any of you guys have seen Monsters, Inc., how many have children, how many have watched that. But if you haven't, go take a look at it. It's a cartoon, but it's very, very true in its nature, because it shows these monsters and how they go to work and they open the doors of children and they scare them. The child screams, and then they fill this cartridge full of that fear of the child, and then that cartridge goes off to feed another entity, and that's their job. And as funny as it might seem, it's pretty accurate.
So Dr. Carla Turner died of cancer January 10th, 1996, after being threatened for her work. She was just 48. You know, she's just one of many that have left the world quickly. Whistleblower Phil Schneider found dead after revealing the alien agenda. Yeah, again, less than 6 months after this big presentation he gave, which you could still watch, he was found dead in his apartment with piano wire wrapped around his neck. Yeah, that he just got tangled, sure. And this right here is interview with Gerald Clark, the Anunnaki, the New World Order, and the Hidden Battle for Humanity from the Higher Side Chats, which I'm not really familiar with the channel. Now, again, Gerald, I disagree with him on quite a few issues, because, again, he was lumping a lot of these beings all together, kind of calling them all Anunnaki. Which they're not. Like, you know, Aset, Isis is not, you know, the same as Enlil, Enki, and Marduk and the like. And this is Gerald Clark, but he did die of cancer too. And again, he was relatively young, at least in my old eyes, you know, as 61. And then we see all this type of thing, which is kind of perplexing. That looks like that was like there's probably an opening there. And somebody rolled a stone from the inside to to basically block it off. What were they afraid of? And in actuality, when we look to Darren Kiyu, when we look, this is exactly what we see. We see a massive complex that could hold tens of thousands of people. This is in Anatolia, Turkey, by the way, with stones that are designed to roll in place from the inside to keep something out. Well, because, if we shared exactly what's happened in the past in these different turnings of the yugas, it would be terrifying. But actually, they have shared with us in many of the sci-fi movies that are out there, as you see these areas, Catalhoyuk, Cappadocia. Yeah, this is fascinating. Again, there are benevolent ones that will tell us, hey, it's time to go in, because, there's going to be times of trial, and they'll take us, into the earth. In some cases, they'll literally take us up off Earth in ships. And then again, there are those that come about that are looking to end a certain species and have no more Neanderthals, no more Denisovans. There are so many different humanoid species that have suddenly terminated, and they are no longer here. A very serious question now, though. Dave or Sammy, who is the better singer for Van Halen? Do you prefer Van Halen or Van Hager? So I just thought we'd throw that in there, as we did a different one before, talking about the Beatles or Zeppelin. So when your vegetarian friends invite you for dinner and you're not exactly thrilled, you never know. You might like it.
You might want to try it. Maybe it's something new, something that's different. Maybe you'll feel better. Maybe you'll like it. I don't know, but they seem pretty excited about it anyway.
Yeah, again, this is part of the big reveal. We have been living in a Truman Show. We really have. And again, those watching us from the sidelines, well, they're not so nice. The ones that are on this, this realm, so to speak. But then again, there are those watching us from the higher densities that are extremely nice. And that's truly where our home is. But we are here trying to help others awaken. And many of you, starseed light workers, whatever term you want to use, you've incarnated to help shatter the dark paradigm.
And it can be as simple as anchoring your light wherever you're at. That makes a big difference in the area surrounding you. You don't even have to tell anybody anything. Just be you. Just shine your light. And that catches the attention of other people.
Absolutely. They want to keep us herded in this small little pen and have one size fits all. But the whole purpose of these individual souls is to be a unique version. Yeah, sources within us. We don't need any created temple. We don't need any created church. Everything you need is within you. And even the answers that you seek are within you. It's just a matter of tapping into that. Being still, right? Be still and know that I am God. So it's all right in front of us.
Indeed.
Absolutely, guys. Again, thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys. Much love. Stay prepared. Please do share these videos. Namaste.
Namaste.